Hello, everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about how polarity can help you as a woman. So I'm going to be focusing on women right now. Can heal all wounds. First of all, I'm going to close my Facebook because I don't want to hear it. Um, all right, yeah. So polarity, polarizing yourself as a woman, can heal all of your wounding. Now, this is really important. And this is really interesting because there's so many, I think on average, women are a lot more interested in this whole healing thing than men are. And and a lot of women have spent years or decades, often decades, working on healing themselves. And here's something that's really interesting that I've seen over and over again. Certain clients on a lot of my breakthrough calls where women have done this, like they've done work, whatever that looks like, right? There's so many different modalities of healing work, and they're all effective in their own way. But they've done this work for decades, and yet still can't attract a healthy man and experience a really polarized devotional relationship with said man long term. That's really interesting, isn't it? That you can spend decades of doing healing work and still not be able to have that polarized relationship. So what does that mean? This is really important because a relationship is just an outer reflection of your relationship with yourself. So if you are getting feedback of dysfunction, right? Like this lack of polarity, you're not being properly led, you're not being claimed, you're not being cherished, right? That's a really key word, cherished, right? Protected, considered, loved over the long term, right? Even when big stresses come up, like children or man loses his job or whatever. If that's not happening, then what that is showing is that there's a lot of unhealed stuff inside of you that still needs to be dealt with. Now, how is that possible? If you've done 3 decades of healing work already, if you've spent $50,000 at the therapist, talking about all your childhood stuff, or you've taken, 10 high-end coaching programs for $20,000 and you still are having issues, right? Wouldn't you have healed all that stuff by now? No. No, you wouldn't have. Right? Because so many of those modalities, and I'm not knocking, I'm not saying that they shouldn't be done. I actually think that there's so many healing modalities that are so complementary if you combine them with polarity work. Right. So I'm not knocking any of them. I'm just saying without polarity work, they're a lot less effective than they could or should be, and that you can spend decades and not really make the kind of progress in your life that you really want to, especially in your love life. It's sort of like, if you're doing, like, I don't know, some kind of therapy, let's say, as an example, and you're like you're digging for gold. What is the gold? The gold is your wounding. You want to dig out all the gold and face it and heal it, and you got a shovel and you keep on digging, you're looking for it, and it takes fucking forever to go find it, right? But guess what? Here's what's really cool. If you start polarizing yourself as a woman, really think about this. Say you're a woman and there obviously is many different kinds of women with many different kinds of identifications, but say you're the kind of woman that identifies as being really strong and powerful and independent and all of that stuff. And then you start polarizing yourself, you start shifting your communication. So learning to be more permissive, learning to express your feelings vulnerably, getting out of the judgments and the blame and all of that stuff, learning how to let go of all control, all that kind of good stuff. What starts to happen? Well, you start getting really triggered. A lot of stuff comes up to the surface, becomes really uncomfortable. You start feeling a lot more. You get in your body a lot more, because that's another part of polarity. You got to get out of your head and be in your body. You start feeling all this stuff, and it just naturally comes to the surface. and it comes to the surface because you're shifting your behaviors into something different. So it's kind of like going back to the mining gold with a shovel analogy. It's like just sticking a whole bunch of dynamite in the ground and blowing the shit out of the entire field, right? You're doing it. You're instead of going like looking so hard for wounding, it just comes out naturally by this polarization process, right? And that's why instead of it taking like even if it was theoretically possible, which I don't think it is, but decades and decades of doing other stuff to finally heal, instead you can spend, let's say a year really intensely polarizing yourself, shifting all of this communication, learning to feel really deeply as you shift all of your behaviors. Um, you learn to create a totally different reality with the man as he starts responding completely different to you. By the end of it, all of this stuff has come to the surface, and now what? Right? You're now creating let's call it a dream relationship. Let's say you're manifesting a dream relationship. You're co-creating a dream relationship. What's happening is you're now reflecting again your inner reality, your inner relationship with yourself. Wow, look at how healed you are, right? Now, that's not to say that you can't have a really incredible dream relationship and still and not have like some small amount of wounding. But what I am saying is once you get to that place, you've healed pretty much everything that needs to be healed. And you did it so quickly. You didn't spend 3 or 4 decades doing it. Isn't that great? Isn't that awesome that it can be so effective? Now, that doesn't mean it's easy. It's scary as hell. It's terrifying. Yeah, fully letting go of control and opening up your heart and exposing yourself vulnerably and you know risking everything essentially. At least it feels like risking everything, and breaking all of those childhood patterns and the patterns that you've been playing out your whole life. No, that's insanely difficult, but it's also insanely effective if you actually do it. And so um, I really encourage women that are watching this, right? If you're really into healing, but you're avoiding polarity for some reason, you're really, it's like you're tying your legs up trying to do a marathon. Why would you do that? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And um, I'll just say briefly as a man, I want to do a part two on this for men, but I've done a lot of healing stuff too, and the healing path for a man looks totally different than it does for a woman. I can say I have healed so much more in the last 2 years than I did in like the last 10 prior to that. Why? Because I was focusing on polarizing myself and moving through all of that stuff. And of course, my outer reflection changed with it as well. So, do you want to heal yourself? You want to heal yourself really quickly? Do you want to get to the point where you're not going to pass down any of that intergenerational trauma onto your children or future children? You want to get to the point where you can have a really healthy relationship with your man where all that's being reflected is, a wonderful relationship that you have with him and you have it with yourself. And the relationship with yourself is really important too. I don't touch on it much, but even independent on of the man, like forget about the man for a second. Uh, having a healthy relationship with yourself, as priceless as it is, what an amazing experience to be able to, well, first love yourself. Imagine loving yourself unconditionally. Guess what? That shifts by learning polarity. Imagine being fully emotionally regulated in every way, where you're able to fully be with your feelings all the time and you're able to express them as well. Just because to be truly vulnerable, you have to be emotionally regulated. Right? You have to be in a state where you're not trying to, you're not going up into your head, you're not dissociating, you're not controlling anything. Imagine just being able to love yourself. Imagine just being able to attract all of the things that you want. Well, not everything that you want, but everything that you need in your life. Imagine the ease and flow that you would operate with as a woman instead of having to work at it, instead of trying to grab at it, instead of trying to like forcefully make things happen all the time inside and outside of a relationship. Right? Again, that's just the outer reflection of your relationship with yourself, where you're not living with ease, where you don't love yourself unconditionally, where you're not able to just fully be with yourself. That's important, right? And that's a big well, it's ultimately what healing is, right? So healing the relationship internally and out externally. And the most effective way to do that is with polarity, right? So, how does that sound? You want some of that? You want some of that really rapid, effective healing, polarization, where you totally transform pretty much everything in your life? All right. Well, if you do and you haven't joined my masterclass yet, our masterclass, mine and Mark Benet's, why not? Why haven't you? Why haven't you taken that one step forward to really change your life? It's so simple. You get so for those of you that are watching and maybe you don't even know about the masterclass yet, briefly I'm going to tell you. It's 2 hours with me and Mark Benet where we teach you all the basics about masculine and feminine communication, all the basic understandings of what you need to do as a woman, well, and as a man, to shift into your polarized state, right? As a woman into your feminine. You're letting go of control while being able to express all your needs and feelings and everything else. We show you how to communicate in a way that's going to inspire a man to step up and listen to your feelings and take care of you and want to be connected with you and be with you and have more sex with you and provide for you and protect you, including protect you from himself. What woman doesn't want that? What woman doesn't want that? That can all be shifted with communication. And this communication, it's not like teaching you bullshit scripts or anything. What we're teaching you is how to get connected to your heart as a woman. As a man, we're teaching you how to get connected to your cock, to your spine, to your truth. But as a woman, it's to your heart, right? Where your heart's fully online and all the answers are really there. And you just have to communicate through your heart and not control anything. How great would that be? It can be totally out of your head. You don't have to control anything. It's a pretty sweet deal. So we're going to be talking about that for 2 hours. We do role plays, right? Where you're not just learning about what the communication is, you're also learning what it feels like, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what the energy is like. Makes it so much easier to start shifting this and moving towards embodiment. It's $47. Pretty much anybody watching this has $47 to change their life, right? To make their love life so much easier. So if you haven't joined our masterclass yet, the next one is, when is it? It's June 18th. We're only doing one for June. We're only doing one. You got one shot at this. Otherwise, you got to wait till July. You're going to have to wait more than a month. Spots are already filling up. We only got 50. After those 50 are full, that's it for June. So if you want in, comment below in the comments, I want in. Just tell me I want in. That's it. I'll respond to you. I will send you a private message, give you the link, and you can sign up. You can take that really big, I mean, it's a small step as far as the price, but it's a big step as far as what you're getting to transform your life, to really start making these shifts, to really start making sense of all the stuff that I'm always talking about on these videos, what we're writing about on posts. So comment below, I want in, and I'll private message you and we'll get you in. We'll get you changing your life.